What are the chances of an all Big Ten national championship in football? Pretty good, actually. I'll tell you why. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button while you're checking us out here today. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, I'm already looking at my crystal ball. Penn State versus Ohio State. I like our chances. Plus, some Big Ten quarterbacks, some torn ACLs. Interesting stories behind those, and my top 10 observations around the Big Ten over the weekend. But off the top, I'll tell you that I think we'll have an all Big Ten football national championship in 2 weeks, pitting Penn State versus Ohio State. Now, Vegas thinks differently, by the way, in case you're wondering. We still have the semifinals to get through Thursday and Friday, and the odds makers have the Nittany Lions as 2-point underdogs in that Orange Bowl against Notre Dame. But they do have the Ohio State Buckeyes as 6-point favorites versus the Texas Longhorns in Friday's Cotton Bowl. Don't forget, again, the games are Thursday and Friday. They're not into the weekend. So, in addition to our regular Locked On Big Ten podcast every day, we will go live on our Locked On Big Ten YouTube channel immediately following the semifinal games, both of them, for immediate reaction and analysis, plus your comments and reaction in real time. So that's both Thursday night and Friday night this week. Both games will end around 10:45-ish Eastern time, 7:45 Pacific. So we'll go on right after that. Looking for around 11 p.m. Thursday and Friday Eastern time, 8 o'clock Pacific. Mark your calendars, mark your iPhones, all your reminders, your devices, all of that. We're going live Thursday and Friday night. All right, now, right off the top, I think that the Penn State game versus Notre Dame, that'll be the more challenging game, I think. I think Ohio State will roll past Texas. Penn State, and I'll get to that in just a second, but Penn State may be a little bit shorthanded, literally, maybe, but then maybe not. Might have some good news here, actually. All-American defensive end Abdul injured his arm in the Fiesta Bowl. I think it was his left arm over Boise State. He exited in the first quarter and did not return. Penn State coach James Franklin seems to think Carter will play. Specifically, he said he can play, but will he be able to play well? So, as he does with most injury reports, Franklin kind of hedging a little bit. Not going to say too much too early, although he said it's too early to say anything right now. So we'll go by that. But we think all signs are pointing forward toward him playing in this football game. If he is not able to play, that'll be a huge disadvantage for Penn State. He's 6'3", he's 252 pounds. He was Penn State's first consensus All-American since Saquon Barkley back in 2017. He was also named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Lineman of the Year. ESPN draft analyst Mel Kiper has him at number 2, the number 2 prospect overall in the upcoming draft behind Heisman Trophy winner Shedeur Sanders. Carter led the team with 11 sacks, led the team with 21.5 tackles for loss. It's been a huge piece of this highly ranked defense since defensive coordinator Tom Allen took over and moved him from linebacker to defensive end. Again, all signs point toward him playing. And on offense, under offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki, this offense is balanced and fun to watch. And we haven't always been able to say that about Penn State offense. Drew Allar is playing as efficiently as ever in this offense right now, and that 1-2 punch at running back with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen will be tough to stop for anybody. And I always have a soft spot in my heart for tight end Ty Warren because he's such a magical weapon that can do so many things for them. So don't forget, Penn State will have an advantage of a couple extra days off. They won their Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve. Notre Dame was supposed to play Georgia the next day on New Year's Day, but that tragedy, sadly, in New Orleans pushed everything back a day to the 2nd of January. Some argued that the Cotton Bowl And the Orange Bowl should flip dates on the upcoming Thursday, Friday schedule, but to kind of help out, alleviate things for Notre Dame because they are in a little bit of a disadvantage there. But with all these preset logistics, everything's already in motion. That would be very unrealistic at this late date. So Penn State will have the advantage there. 2 more days rest, 2 more days of preparation than the Fighting Irish. Although Marcus Freeman, take your hat off to him. He's got the Golden Domers playing really well on both sides of the ball right now. As for the Ohio State Buckeyes, their game on Friday versus the Texas Longhorns. With all due respect to the Longhorns, Ohio State is the hottest team in college football in the entire country right now. The Longhorns are coming off a game where they needed 2 overtimes to get by an Arizona State team that barely made the playoffs. I mean, they were good. I don't want to besmirch them or anything, but they barely made the playoffs. And Texas barely beat them. Meanwhile, Ohio State's been rolling everybody so far. Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, they were way too conservative in their play calling in that Michigan game. And since they've opened things up, they've just let it rip. And freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, in the 2 playoff games against the Tennessee Vols and, of course, the Big Ten champion Oregon Ducks, Smith has 13 catches for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns in the postseason. And those touchdowns have been long chunk plays downfield. So we'll see how the Texas defense can handle him, but also simultaneously keep an eye on Emeka Egbuka, who's also going to the NFL. And the Buckeyes 1-2 punch at running back. You concentrate on the receivers. Now you got to deal with the running backs with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Defensively, the Buckeyes front line also playing their best football right now. And their secondary, I got to point it out, against Oregon. Oregon's got a group of really good receivers. It's not just one guy with Tez Johnson or whatever. Trayshawn Holden. They've got some really good receivers. And they were never open all night. Hats off to that secondary for the Buckeyes on that. So they're playing well on both sides of the football. Meanwhile, you look at Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. He could be tricked with some pre-snap reads. We've seen this. If the Buckeyes can disguise their pressure, as evidenced by the Texas-Georgia game, I think there could be some success that could be had there by the Buckeyes defense against Quinn Ewers and the Texas offense. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an all Big Ten final. SEC people hate it when I say that, but I think that's what's going to happen. I could really stick it to them and remind them that it kind of was an all Big Ten final last year, Washington and Michigan. I know that's probably pushing it a little too far, stoking the old fires there. It was Washington's last game as a Pac-12 member before coming over into the Big Ten in that national championship last year. By the way, we've got some Washington news later on. Hang around, Huskies fans, for that. So, nevertheless, I think we can safely say something that I've been saying all along and getting pushback from SEC guy. The Big Ten is the premier football conference in America, bar none. And I'm looking forward to an all Big Ten national championship. What say you? Hit me up on the comments. Love to hear from you on YouTube as well. And let's get it going. Penn State fans, Ohio State fans, love to hear from you. In the meantime, as I said at the top, be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And if you don't mind, share, like, and follow. That really helps us out a lot. But if you subscribe, you get notice. You can turn on a little notice in our podcasts that come out every day. I'll be ready for you first thing each and every day. And don't forget to pick up some Big Ten gear from your favorite teams, your favorite schools for the year 2025 at our website, where we put all of our podcasts chronologically and we group them by schools. This will be under Penn State and Ohio State as well. And right there on the website, talkbig10.com, talkbig10.com. We got links there where you could go ahead and buy your favorite school merchandise right there. Just a convenience for you, in addition to going back and checking out some prior podcasts as well. If you want to get caught up, if you're new here, want to see what we're all about, would really appreciate that. All right, lots I want to get to. There are a couple of injuries to tell you about around the Big Ten. One of them is remarkable. We had a starting quarterback play all year in the Big Ten, have a phenomenal year, and we have found out that he had a torn ACL on his knee the entire season and played on it. We'll have all that, some coaching news, and my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. All that coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes the excitement of watching games even more exciting. And, we got the NFL playoffs. Make them better with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose, the FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and a whole bunch more. So visit the website and share betting lines from around your team and your league. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today. Get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's at FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Again, FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Well, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. And always appreciate you everydayers out there. Thank you. We like more of it. A lot of you sample, come in every once in a while, maybe a couple days a week. Love to have you every day. You're welcome to be here. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. So I want to talk to you about a couple of Big Ten quarterback injuries here. One is new, one is old, but we just found out about it going into the weekend. Let's start with Michigan quarterback Davis Warren. He said over the weekend that he tore his ACL in his right knee during the team's 19-13 win over Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. You may remember he left that game in the third quarter, and it was a tough year for Warren. It was a tough year for the Wolverines at quarterback this season. They never really had an answer for J.J. McCarthy's departure to the NFL. Warren started 9 games this year with 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not great, but he did beat Ohio State and he did beat Alabama. That says a lot. So with 9 or so months to recover, he could play next season. And he announced on social media that he's looking forward to doing just that. However, the quarterback competition in Ann Arbor may be a lot tougher than this year for sure. The nation's overall number 1 recruit, quarterback Bryce Underwood, is coming, as is Fresno State transfer Mikey Keene, who has thrown for over 8,000 yards and 65 touchdowns in his career. And then there was this story, which I find mind-blowing. This is remarkable. So Indiana had like a Cinderella story year this year. It was awesome. And it almost didn't happen. Hoosiers quarterback Curtis Rourke led them to 11 wins and a playoff berth. He played the entire season on a torn ACL. The knee was shot. He played. I've heard of that, not very often, but that's rare. I'm stunned. So he's undergoing surgery this week to repair it ahead of the NFL draft. Amazingly, he suffered the injury in August, and it's the same knee that he tore up in 2022 when he was at Ohio. And yet he played the entire season on a bad knee. I mean, think about that. He could have been out for the year before it ever got started. And truthfully, had backup Taven Jackson played that whole, he would have been fine, but that whole magical 2024 season likely would have never happened. And apparently he heard it in August and never complained about it. So just kept playing. And so the training staff never took follow-up x-rays or imaging, just played the whole year on it. I guess, I don't know if that means they discovered it had been torn, after the season was over or whatever the case may be. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It didn't bother him that much, apparently. And he's a tough kid, too. He only missed 1 game. That was when he broke his thumb hitting a helmet in the Nebraska game, and that required surgery and screws to be put in to hold it together. He only missed 1 game. Missed the Michigan State game. And that's when Taven Jackson came in, and they were able to win that game. He threw for 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, and finished 9th in Heisman voting. And he was 2nd all-team Big Ten. Just remarkable. Just like that. That could have just never happened. And yet it did. That should have been a season-ending injury. Draft analyst Mel Kiper says the 6'5" quarterback is the 6th best quarterback prospect in the draft. Although with his injury, I'm not sure what will happen to his stock at this point. I got some coaching news. Jed Fish, he's adding to his coaching staff at Washington. First, remember, he snapped up UCLA and former NFL offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy as an offensive analyst. And now on the defensive side of the ball, he's hired former Purdue head coach Ryan Walters, and he will be the Huskies' defensive coordinator. Walters was a pretty good defensive coordinator at Illinois before taking over the Purdue head coaching job, but didn't do so well as the head coach. Couldn't get it going. It was 4-8 his first year at Purdue. Just a miserable 1-11 this year, which had the exclamation point of the 66-0 loss at Indiana, their arch rival, in the snow in the last game of the season. Purdue paid him off his $9.5 million buyout and fired him as soon as the season was over, decided to go in a different direction. There was no offset language in his Purdue contract, so that means he keeps the full $9.5 million and whatever he makes at Washington, which apparently will be pretty close to $1.5 million a year per year for the next 2 years. So good for him. By the way, Purdue plays at Washington this year. Maybe a little bit of revenge on the mind. That'll be November 15th, late in the year. And you'll remember that Walters is replacing Steve Belichick, the defensive coordinator at Washington, who left to join his dad's staff at North Carolina. So a lot of interesting football news there going on. Let me turn my attention for a moment to basketball. Tonight, Monday night, Big Ten hoops. 11-3 Wisconsin at 8-6 Rutgers. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific on the Big Ten Network. Ohio State at 9-5 taking on 8-6 Minnesota. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific on FS1. So those are the only two men's game going on, and the women's slate is clear. All right, coming up, we got our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. If you're new to our podcast, we always have a feature at the end that we always like. We always have fun with these. So you don't want to miss it. On Mondays, we always kind of recap the whole Big Ten over the weekend. My top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. We'll have that list. Tuesdays, we always do Tuesday tweets. Wednesday, some sort of power rankings. I think we'll look at Big Ten basketball this week. Thursdays, we always look ahead to weekend programming on the Big Ten Network with Big Ten classics and live action, kind of highlight a few things you might want to keep an eye out for. And then on Fridays, we make our picks. Been doing pigskin picks. We'll do basketball picks moving forward and all of that. So got that coming up next. My top 10 Big Ten observations. See if my list matches yours from this past weekend. We'll do that next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. This is how you get tickets to everything. If it needs a ticket, have the Game Time app. You get all your tickets right there. Partake in the college football playoffs, going to the semifinals, national championship, all that excitement, making memories, go. Use Game Time, get your tickets there. They got a new feature called Game Time Picks, and it makes getting tickets for events even easier, if you can believe that. It filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals, great seats. You don't have to waste a lot of time searching through hundreds and maybe thousands of tickets, and use it for any upcoming game. It's a super breeze. They got the super deal in particular. Best value out there. And I love how you can see your seat views before buying anything. Right there on your phone, see the view from the ticket of the seat you're about to buy. It's all great. All upfront pricing, no surprises and fees, extra fees at checkout. And it'll be the lowest price guarantee, giving you peace of mind right there. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKDOWNCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Thrilled you're still here. We got a lot of fun still coming up here with our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. We'll put it on screen. So if you're audio only, we'll describe it in detail so you don't feel like you're missing anything out. I know a lot of people listen on audio wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we're here on YouTube as well on video. So I want to start this out with, again, my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Shout out to the UCLA women's basketball team. Number 1 in the nation. They go into Bloomington and they won at IU. Lauren Petz with 25 points and 12 rebounds. And the UCLA defense held IU scoreless for 8 minutes in that game. So a great effort there. We'll put them on the board. These aren't necessarily in any particular top order. They're kind of grouped, if you will. So Michigan, Danny Wolf, season high 21 points and 13 rebounds on their road win at USC. In fact, I'll make that part of this list and put it on there at number 8. The Michigan win on the road at Southern Cal, 85-74. Kudos to them. Meanwhile, what else we got here on our list? The Nebraska upset win over 15th ranked UCLA. That was at Nebraska, 66-58. I am telling you, at Nebraska, we saw a lot of this last year too. That is becoming one of the toughest places to play in all of the Big Ten. If you got a basketball game at Nebraska, you better get ready. The home court advantage there is incredible. The fans there are incredible too. Right on top of you over there. I want to give a shout out here to our top 10 Big Ten observations to Ryan Walters. Man, it was a tough stint at Purdue. And glad to see that he got a job as a defensive coordinator at Washington. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, Ryan Walters is a good defensive coordinator. And, he couldn't really get things going at Purdue. It went the wrong way quickly. Only had 2 years. I think down the road, look, there's two arguments of to have here. Some guys are just, great coordinators, maybe can't handle the head coaching job. He was pretty young. Give his career some more time. I think he's going to get another chance. I think Ryan Walters will be a head football coach again, and hopefully he'll get a better situation than he had there in West Lafayette. He'll be a little older, a little more experienced, and he'll be good to go. I would look for that. Meanwhile, shout out to a lot of these are Minnesota now. They won the Mayo Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I told you it was going to be hilarious. PJ Fleck with that bald head getting dumped on with the mayonnaise. That was on the 3rd after we kind of got through the big bowls and some playoff games. And I hope some people got a chance to see this. And I don't want to say it was kind of a forgotten bowl. It's just a tough spot there, January 3rd. But as Minnesota wins over Virginia Tech, Zaquan Bryant had an interception in that game. 17th interception for the team this year. It was his first. Had a 32-yard return on that as well. Want to stick on the defensive side of the ball to Jack Henderson from Minnesota. We'll put him at number 4 here at 2 sacks in the game. Always like to highlight sacks and interceptions. At number 3, Elijah Spencer, 6 catches, 81 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game. You can't talk Minnesota football without their running game, and Darius Taylor did not disappoint again. He is great. Always love talking about him. 20 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown versus Vatech. And then, of course, at number 1, just the fact that Minnesota got the bowl win. Nice season. Nice little bounce back season for PJ Fleck as the Gophers win, and now something to build on for next year. So those are my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Did I leave anything out? Maybe that you thought I should have mentioned? Hit me up in the comments. Would love to hear from you on all of that. All right. In the meantime, speaking of comments and hitting me up, whatever you want to do, many ways for you to interact with Locked On Big Ten. We're going to expect a huge year. We got over 13,000 subscribers this year. We are rolling. I think we got to get close to 1.5 million viewers, all because of you. Thank you. And I'm just expecting this to grow. If you subscribe and share and follow and like, that really helps us. Comments back and forth helps us, getting us going out there on the old internet. Love it. Love it. If you could help us out, that would be fantastic. And of course, we have Twitter, where you could go ahead and follow us there, or X at Talk Big Ten. We would appreciate that. There is also our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. And also, you can buy merchandise from your favorite school right there. You're checking out a Penn State podcast here on Locked On Big Ten. Get some Penn State gear. Same thing with Ohio State, whatever. It's all right there on the website, talkbig10.com. And don't forget the comments back and forth on YouTube as well. One more reminder, be sure to subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. We are laser focused all week long on Penn State and Ohio State, getting ready for their college football playoff semifinals, and any other news that breaks along the way, we'll have it, plus our fun features as well. Tell your friends about us. We're out here every single day. And one more reminder, don't forget our live podcasts Thursday night and Friday night after the Penn State and Ohio State games in the playoffs this week. We're really looking forward to all of that. So thanks for spending some time with us today. I never take that for granted. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Shemon. See you next time.